how you start your day is how you live your day, and how you live your day is how you live your life. And at that time, I was a Tasmanian devil with lip gloss on. Like I was running through my morning. It was controlled chaos. Was I surprised that the rest of my day felt exactly like my morning? And so I had been living this chaos for a while now. It didn't feel good in my system, but man, I was getting things done, but at a cost. And I remember seeing that quote and I was like, hard stop. If I can control anything, let me control that morning routine. At the time, I was still abusing my evening routine. Absolutely. Let me start here with the morning routine. I got up 15 minutes earlier and then 15 minutes earlier and 15 minutes earlier. So that to a point where I was like, okay, I've got probably 30 to 40 minutes where I can really attune to myself.
All right. Well, it's a real pleasure to have on the show again, Dr. Mariza Snyder. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I feel like we've already recorded an episode together. It's been so much fun talking with you for the last 15 minutes, Zora.
I know. I was like, we should hit record because it was just too much fun. And this episode is going to be really fun. I always have such a good time with you, and you're so easy to speak with. And I just love hearing your stories too. But this time, we're going to talk a little bit about your upcoming book that's going to be released very, very soon, The Perimenopause Revolution. Congratulations, first of all, on your baby book.
Thank you so much. Yeah, baby book number 9. I can't imagine having that many babies, but book babies I can get down with.
You got to use some contraception there because you got too many books coming out.
Yeah, I got one real baby.
Yeah. But in the book, you've got something that promises a 5-week reset. So can you give us just a little sneak peek on what makes that reset different from some of the other menopause programs or books that are out there?
Yes, I'd say the big distinguishing difference between my 5-week reset and a lot of the other ones is the mindset aspect of it. You know, I would say perimenopause is a time of reconciliation, of reckoning, of discernment, of intention, but directional intention. And when I talk to a lot of my patients and ask them, like, what would you love? Or what brings you joy? Or who are you stepping into this next powerful chapter? A lot of them don't know. And understandably so, when you're running around taking care of everybody else and handling all the obligations of work and household and family, you get caught up in other people's lives. You forget that maybe you're not even living for yourself anymore. You've been living for other people. And there's probably a lot of things that as you step into the second phase of your life, the second half of your life, that you're like, you know what? I don't want to bring this through into the next half. Like I want to live it differently. And I think when we are driven by purpose and intention about what we want to create in the second half of our life, man, that North Star is so beautifully directional that a lot of it can take care of itself. So that's the first piece, is asking yourself those important questions and getting crystal clear on who you want to become, that future, healthy, vibrant, energized, resilient self. And then we get into the nitty gritty, right? It's all about how do we eat metabolically healthy? And this is more of a lifestyle. Yes, there's a meal plan and there's recipes, but I make it really clear that it's all for inspiration purposes. Yes, you can follow it, but I want you to know, I want your kitchen to become a metabolically healthy kitchen where it's stabilizing your blood sugar, it's helping you to build resilient, strong bones and muscles, and you are firing on all cylinders. And that at dinner time, you know the ingredients, you know how to prepare it, and you're just doing the thing with your family. And so that's the big part of I would say, first couple chapters in that reset. And then it is the movement. And the big thing I'm bringing home when it comes to movement is that I want you to be building your life around movement. And I will tell you, for example, this morning, I woke up a little bit earlier than my son, who gets up pretty darn early these days. And I got outside, I grounded in nature, I did jump squats, I did push-ups. And then I heard him, he was calling for me. So I came back in, I got him settled downstairs. I got him breakfast started, went back upstairs, did a 20-minute weight routine, just a real quick workout routine because I'm driving to LA today. And I'm going to punctuate the rest of my day with these mini moments of movement. So I got at least a 20-minute strength training workout. I did a little kind of an awakening, a mini exercise snack before my son woke up. And then I'm going to be punctuating the rest of my day with walking, squatting, jump squats, push-ups, whatever I can do in a little dress that I'm wearing to an interview in LA. And so that level of movement, I say it compounds over time to help us feel more mentally clear, to get better sleep, to balance that blood sugar, and to feel more energized. So I am very much a get in where you fit in kind of girl, especially most women in this transition. Let's be honest, who doesn't have a full plate of things to do?
Can
And
I
moving,
stop you for a second? Because
sure
I
thing.
have to, first of all, commend you. Like you've got a 5-year-old and a 4 or 5-year-old.
He's
And
almost, he would tell you he's almost 5.
okay, he's almost 5. And you, if they're able to wake up before him, like, and which is amazing, as I'm like counting every single piece of sleep I have, but I'm sure I know you from our last interview, you're a sleep
I go
Nazis
to
like
bed.
me. So
Yeah,
you just get in there. But not only did your movement, I call them movement snacks, and you still managed to take care of your son. I'm like, the things that I do now, the things that I preach, I practice everything I preach. But when I had a 5-year-old, I don't think I could do as much as I do now. And I always think, well, it probably would compress it, but you do that. So I'm amazed that you do that. I'm so glad because you just show you're walking the talk and anyone can do it. If it's important to you, you will figure it out. And
You'll
obviously
figure it out. Yeah.
it is
I
important.
built Legos this morning. We worked in our workbooks this morning. Let me tell you,
Yeah.
I did a lot of mom activities. I made the super metabolically healthy lunch that's protein forward for my son and made sure he had extra clean water bottles. They use tap water at farm camp. And so we packed 2 big water bottles for him to lug to school. He's getting his workout. And so making sure that we take care of him all the while and getting makeup. I had to get some makeup on for you. It's interesting, the range, and you just have to make it work. And I had my green juice. I had my electrolytes. I did my supplements. I had my protein breakfast. Now, I'm not saying that I didn't just shove it down my throat. I didn't mindfully eat by any means.
But you
did not
got like
happen.
most of the hacks in there, which is commendable. And just mind you, you're going through perimenopause now. You wrote the book on menopause or perimenopause, and you have a 5-year-old on top of it. So when I had a 5-year-old, I was not even close to perimenopause. So double kudos to you. All hail to Dr. Mariza. Well done. So
Yeah, thank you.
let's keep moving. So you have the
So movement,
mindset,
yes.
the
And then
nutrition, the movement, and what's the fourth one?
it's the self-care. It is the prioritizing you. And again, I'm not talking about bubble baths before bed, but I mean, if you can do a bubble bath, an Epsom salt bath before bed, like good on you. Like that is not working out for me. It's about the micro moments. It's about letting your body and your brain know that you're safe, that you're peaceful. It's breath breaks. It is movement breaks. It's outside voice memoing your besties. For example, yesterday I was jumping on another interview and I had a 15-minute break and I could choose one of 2 things. I could unload the dishwasher, which would help my future cooking self later on that day. I'm not going to lie. Okay. Or I could go and walk outside. And I picked up my phone really quickly and I saw I had 3 voice memos from 3 different best friends. And I was like, the decision has been made for me. Mama's going outside and she's going to listen to these voice memos.
You get your
So
vitamin D and your
exactly,
sunlight.
got my
Like
vitamin
that's
D. I
important.
clocked 2,000 steps. I'm not mad.
There you go.
And I made it to the beach for 3 seconds. I saw the ocean, saw the surfers, and then walked my butt back home. And I got to spend that time listening to my friends, responding to my friends. But I will be honest with you, I don't know anyone who isn't going through it right now. It's summer energy. I know we're recording, this is going out in October. We're recording this in August. And I'm like, gosh, man, I really feel there's an energy shift that women are really working it out. And so I was just getting updates from my friends. And it's so nice on those days when even you're having a hard day, because I'm not going to pretend like every day in perimenopause is an easy day. But when I'm getting updates from my friends who I get to hold space for and I get to be there for, it's almost as if my stuff just kind of just goes away to the wayside, which feels really good. But
It's
yeah,
priorities. Yeah, your
yeah.
priorities. I'm the same. I'm very similar. I also do multitask and I talk to friends and catch up while I'm walking. It's such a great thing that
So
you're
good.
taking care of yourself and you're taking your friends and all around. We know how important your social circles are, your network. I always say nurture your network because it's
Always.
so important
It's
for us.
everything. It's one of the biggest longevity hacks that we can implement. And I want to just make a declaration right now here, Zora. It's that from this point forward, every single person listening to this right now, if you are talking to a girlfriend or a bestie or a book bestie, you are doing it while you are moving your body. You are walking and talking, girl. Like that is what we're doing now. I will not sit and talk to a friend. If I have a friend date on the phone or whatever that may be, like we are both walking outside while we're doing it.
Exactly. There, I'm there with you. I'm going to get your
Or
number.
I'm at least on my little treadmill right here. I'm inside the house walking on a treadmill, or I'm on my Peloton. It's just it's par for the course. We're talking to a friend, or I'm talking to a friend. No one's sitting. Nobody's sitting because the juice is worth the squeeze. Move your body. And I feel like when you're moving that energy and you're processing whatever your friend's telling you, there's something healthy about that as well.
Okay. So the next recording we do, we have to set it up so that you and I are standing at least, or you're walking on your, walk around thing.
I've got 2 treadmills right here. I personally prefer to be outside though. As much as I have walking treadmills, walking desks, I prefer to be outside.
Yeah, but according to your movement snacks, and I think I always tell myself I've got to start recording my episodes standing. I got to figure out a way. And you just reminded me to do that because now I'm feeling really guilty that I'm sitting down on my butt.
I'm sitting too, girl. I'm sitting too. And I'm going to be in a car for 5 hours today, sitting on my butt, trying to get to LA and back. I feel you.
We try. Well, next episode, I will be standing.
Yeah, I do have a standing setup, but you got to lug it. This is all set up. I bet you for you too, it's kind of all set up and to have to rearrange. I would say for a 45, almost 46-year-old, I'm pretty tech savvy, but sometimes I'm racing into this chair from something. Yeah. And so I just needed to already be pre-set up for me.
Yeah. For a 45 pretty tech savvy, that sounds like you're calling yourself old or something.
Okay. So my husband, who's going to be 40 in a couple of weeks, that man is a tech ninja. And relative to what he knows, he just looks at me sometimes and he's just like, you are so lucky I live in this house with you because I don't know how you would get by.
Has nothing to do with age. I remember when I was doing my gerontology studies and there were 20-year-olds in there and I was 50 and they were asking me how to use Zoom. They were asking me how to use certain technology. And I'm like, wait. You're 20. You're the one who's supposed to be tech savvy. And I was really surprised, but I don't think it's a matter of age. I think it's just, we always
maybe it's just him giving me such a hard time. And again, he's a ninja. The level of problem solving he can do with technology is mind-blowing.
Oh, that's very useful. That's very useful. Actually,
there's a big disparity in the house.
I'm very reliant on ChatGPT these days.
Yes, me too. Yeah. He's not always here. He's not here now. Yeah. And so there's definitely days where I'm like, I got to figure this out.
Okay, let's move on because I could totally go off on a tangent with you, but let's reel ourselves in. So we got the self-care. And I think everything you've said before in terms of the mindset, nutrition, and the movement, that's part of self-care too. Like what you're treating yourself the way it should be. And in addition to maybe some breath work and spending time with your friends.
Yeah, I mean, regulating your nervous system. I think that what kind of how perimenopause really hits us hard is that the culmination of the stress that we're dealing with and then the hormones are radically declining. I think the reason why perimenopause feels even harder today in this modern day world is that we are dealing with more stressors or we're feeling more stressed than ever before. Now, I'm not dismissing your perimenopause for stress by any means. And I'm not just saying that it's perimenopause, never. I think it's a multitude of things that are happening. And so the more that, at least for me, I've learned that the more I can tell and let my body know and my brain know that I'm safe and that I'm taking care of me and I'm prioritizing me, I feel less symptomatic. I feel less overwhelmed and I feel less reactive in this time.
What's your favorite way to regulate your nervous system?
Number one is being outside in nature. My body just, getting my feet. I'm very blessed to be so close to the ocean as getting my feet in the ocean. Not my whole body. This is the Pacific Ocean we're talking about, but it is not warm. Okay. It is, I would say if I can get my feet in the water every day. And again, not always, it's not probably happening today. I noticed a pretty decent jump in my heart rate variability and my heart rate variability for me, looking at my patients and even myself is really a beautiful indicator of how well regulated I am. Yeah. I can tell when I'm not well regulated when my HRV starts to drop.
I agree. The getting out in nature is a huge thing for me. And one thing I can definitely say is true because we always talk about how getting in nature helps regulate the nervous system. I just had my garden destroyed because there were two big beautiful big trees, but the roots were encroaching on the pool and the walls and the neighbors and breaking things. They were old trees.
Yeah.
I always had green when I got out on the terrace. I live on the terrace. I'm always out there. I eat, I work, I exercise, I do everything outdoors. And I had this beautiful green wall and everything. And the moment those were torn down, I walked out there, I could feel a shift. And I thought, oh, wow, I didn't realize how impactful it is to have green, to have leaves, to have trees, to have this stuff is around me. And you kind of know it, but when it's taken away or you get outside and you don't, it was really sad. And I had birds like hopping around going, where's my nest? It just broke my heart. And I can really feel the impact. We have talked about how blood pressure comes down, heart rate comes down, everything gets regulated as you are going through nature. But I honestly felt it big time. If anybody's had this occur to them, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh, that
We'll
must
be
have been so
planting.
hard.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
we have because we're in San Diego, it's a little bit more of a tropical experience that we have in our backyard. And my husband's mom was a landscaper and she's just she's amazing with plants. And so she helped to
I
kind
need
of
her.
curate. I know, I know. She's incredible. Like her skill is just, and her attunement to nature and plants is just phenomenal. So she helped Ali, my husband worked for her for a while. So he really has a great green thumb too. And we just have like canopy of these big, oh my gosh, just beautiful tropical trees. We've got a plumeria tree, and it feels like we're almost in Hawaii in our backyard. And
Yeah.
there's cannas that are blooming right now, and dahlias, and hibiscus, and sage, and it's just beautiful. It's these colors and vibrance all over. So I just walking outside, and one of the things we do a lot of, we're on screens. We're always usually very close to a screen or close to our work, and it kind of sucks us in. And a practice that I've been practicing recently to regulate is just to look 5 to 10 feet out. So I just go out into my backyard, my feet are bare, we have grass, and I just look just at all of the flowers, all the trees, the hummingbirds, the butterflies, it's a lot of action in my backyard right now with all the little birds and hummingbirds all over the place. And it just calms the brain, but it also just resets, like you said, resets the nervous system. So there's something really magical, even just going out in your backyard and just spending a little bit of time there can make a big difference. But I personally like to move when I'm out in nature. So
Yeah. And being
big,
that mindful, I mean, well, that's, I guess, forest bathing, right? Shirinjuku in Japanese. And that's
yes.
forest bathing that, and as I understand, it originated in Japan where they had patients in the hospital. They'd put them in these bamboo forests and they realized that they actually heal faster. And there we go. So many benefits of being out in nature. And when you're mindful of it, and that's, I guess, what the forest bathing is still about, is just being at one, not on your podcast, not talking to your friends. It's being in that space, seeing the green, and just like the way you described in your garden, like you described it, and I felt like I was there because you're just so into it. So that's what helps
Yeah.
us get healthy. Okay, so that's the self-care piece. Got the mindset, nutrition, movement, and the self-care. What's the last one?
The last piece, obviously, it's going to be optimizing sleep. If that's going to be the big one,
Yeah.
optimizing sleep, but really honoring, I would say, what I have found to be the biggest needle mover for my women, or that I've helped them, is really bookending their day. Because I know that we're in the messy middle. That's what perimenopause is. And then there's a messy middle that's called the day. So like
Yeah.
you're in the messy middle of the messy middle. And
Can't get any better than that, right?
there was a beautiful quote by Louise Hay that changed my life about 10 years ago. And she said, how you start your day is how you live your day. And how you live your day is how you live your life. And at that time, I was a Tasmanian devil with lip gloss on. Like I was running through my morning. It was controlled chaos.
Yeah.
And then was I surprised that the rest of my day felt exactly like my morning? And so I had been living this chaos for a while now. It didn't feel good in my system, but man, I was getting things done, but at a cost. And I remember seeing that quote, and I was like, hard stop. If I can control anything, let me control that morning routine. At the time, I was still abusing my evening routine. Absolutely. But I was like, let me start here with the morning routine. And I got up 15 minutes earlier and then 15 minutes earlier and 15 minutes earlier. So that to a point where I was like, okay, I've got probably 30 to 40 minutes where I can really attune to myself. And the thing that was really important to me was becoming very intentional about how I wanted to live my day. And so now I start my day the night before because I'm a big fan of setting your future self up for success. And especially if I'm going to the gym by 6 o'clock, 6:30 in the morning, depending on the day, my gym clothes are out. My emotional support water is at the door already. My protein coffee is in the fridge. Like the key is at the door. I can get out the door probably in 7 minutes from upon waking if I'm running out the door. And then I'll walk outside in nature before I leave and then get into the gym. And so that all happens in my night routine. But I find, especially as a mom, there's only so much sacred alone time to set me up to win. And it's always in the evening after my son is asleep and in the morning before he wakes up. And so I don't mess around. I just don't mess around with it. I don't mess around and find out, basically. So I'm really intentional about punctuating my morning and my evening with rituals that are going to energize me and bring me back down. So energizing rituals in the morning, calming rituals in the evening, and just really savoring those rituals as self-care time, alone time, and optimizing my daytime. It's kind of how I think about it.
Yeah. So many great tips. Those are definitely things that we dive deeper into in the book, probably to show how to do this because it sounds really great and dandy, but
no, yeah, the how and the obstacles. That's a big part of it. I'm like, okay, well, what if you're a night owl? How do we make that work? And so I like address a lot of the obstacles as well, because I've heard all the obstacles. I've heard I don't get home till 6:30. How am I going to be able to eat by 7? Okay, well, let's set the time by 7:30. Let's make that. And then you're not eating again until the next morning. Again, it's one thing to have protocols. It's one thing to make recommendations, but they've got to work for you. I could say, I need you in the gym, or I want you working out for 30 minutes, doing compound workouts, either training to hypertrophy or training to strength and power 4 days a week. But if you tell me like, there's no way, like I can't, then that's not helpful. So then, okay, well, maybe it's 2 days a week. And then how do we punctuate with exercise snacks? Or maybe we have 15-pound weights by your desk and you just knock out some squats, or you do some presses, some overhead presses. Like we get creative. And so how does it work for you? Because I have to make it work for me. I know it's doable. We just got to figure out how to make it work for you.
Yeah. I do wall sits while I'm brushing my teeth.
Yeah, are so good.
Brush my teeth and wall sits. Like just squeeze it in whenever you can, or sometimes
anchor it into another habit.
Yeah.
I have while I'm getting my son's bath ready every night, the bathtub's running, it's doing its thing. It takes like 30 to 5 minutes. I'm brushing my teeth and I'm doing 60 jump squats.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's it. But my brain, okay, we're doing this. Like the bath is running. There's no excuses.
I should do a little test because I'm wearing the blood glucose monitor. I told you that before we started recording, and I get doing some jump squats before you eat something. I should do the test, or after. Like I just ate watermelon, and if I eat watermelon, boy, that just peaks. Ooh. But if I buffer it, you dress up with food before, or if I did some jump squats after I eat it. I mean,
you can have your watermelon and enjoy it too. Yeah, you'll see the one time where my blood glucose was the most optimal when I was wearing a CGM, was last winter. I was doing exercise snacks 5 to 6 times a day. So jump squats 5 to 6 times a day. And my blood sugar didn't even get above 102 milligrams per deciliter after meals.
Wow.
It was between 70 and 103, basically, for 2 weeks.
Oh my God.
I was like,
I'm going to start doing more snacks.
I wasn't just eating naked. We were talking about naked grapes earlier. Like I was obviously I was already eating metabolically healthy meals. I was eating meals that were supporting my blood glucose, but it was that movement throughout the day, that consistent movement. It wasn't always after meals, although I'm usually really good about moving after meals, but I was just consistent about moving throughout my day and into the evening. Like while my bath was running, I was doing them, and my blood sugar was like a chef's kiss. It was stellar. And I was like, I had no idea, because I remember growing up thinking, as long as I got the big weight workout in the morning, I was good to go.
Yeah.
But that is not, I mean, do it. Yes, please. Like, don't negate that.
Yeah.
but move your body all day long. The physical activity throughout the day is, man, if blood glucose is one of the most important biomarkers of your mitochondrial health, of your cellular longevity and energy, and movement throughout the day can keep those levels in optimal range, sign me up. That was all the motivation I ever needed. I was like, I'm doing this for the rest of my life.
So when you would do they say jump squats, how many would you do?
I have my magic number,
What is it?
60. So 60 jump squats. So I
60.
do 60.
But in one go or spread out throughout the
breaking
day?
up in 20s. No, throughout the, I do like 350 jump squats throughout the day. I do 60 in a sitting. So I will do, I do 20 jump squats in less than a minute. It's usually about 40 seconds, give or take. And then I give myself a little break. And then the next minute I do another 20. And the next minute I do another 20. So if you have 3 minutes, which who doesn't have 3 minutes?
Yeah.
You can do 60 jump squats.
Yeah.
I do them everywhere. I call it a buy-in. I did 60 jump squats to buy into this interview. So I usually buy into an interview or buy out of an interview. I buy into dinner, buy out of dinner. So I usually pretty much almost any activity I'm stepping into, I will knock out 60 jump squats first.
Okay, I'm inspired. I'm going to do that. And I like getting granular because you said that I probably would have done 10 and be like, okay, let's see what happens.
Start with 10. Start with 10. And if jump squats, you're thinking your knees or whatever, maybe your hips, your ankles, whatever joint kind of issues, just do squats.
Yeah.
Just do squats. Start with squats, but try jump squats and maybe just start with 10. Maybe you do 30 in 3 minutes.
Did you notice certain exercises were more impactful on your blood sugar than others?
Jump squats.
Okay, yeah, that was more impactful. Like, I'm guessing, yeah.
And I'm bashing my bones, as Dr. Vonda Wright likes to call it. Jump squats, jack squats, mountain climbers. And then the other thing that was really helpful is, especially if you have stairs in your house, is I will do 5 sets of stairs with 15 or 20 pound weights.
Okay.
And you will feel that.
See, I've got a few more days left on my glucose monitor, so I'm gonna see the impact. But
Play with it.
I mean, I've been doing always. Whenever you wear these glucose monitors, you always test different types of hacks, and I've tried the berberine, the apple cider vinegar, dressing with fats and protein, certain carbs. The one that was most impactful is the movement.
The movement. And I played with the berberine. I've played with the apple cider vinegar. I've played with, let's see what else. Obviously, like the type of foods, but movement was a game changer. I wore one last year for my birthday around this time. And we had gotten this I had this beautiful birthday party and I had this vegan, gluten-free birthday cake with chocolate frosting, the whole nine. And I remember the day I was hosting this party, so I didn't even get any cake. Because let's be honest, I just get the cake for my son because birthdays are birthday cake. That's what birthday cake is, or birthdays are for a 5-year-old. But the next day I finally got to have one. And again, I'm at the beach. We have beach cruisers. So I had the cake. I was wearing the CGM and I went on a 20-minute bike ride to the beach and back. And my blood sugar, I think it bumped like 10 points up. And that was it. And I was like, yes. But mind you, this whole time my blood sugar had been looking so good. So I think I had some flexibility. Like I had good metabolic flexibility, but I was just like, this is amazing. Yeah. I can have my cake and eat it too. And my blood sugar, because I was expecting maybe 20 point jump. I mean, this is pure sugar we're talking about in refined carbs. And I was like, yay. And what was so cool about it was the bike ride was so fun. It was so beautiful. It was like the sun was setting, the ocean was shimmery. And so it wasn't a punishment. I wanted the bike ride too. And I thought, ooh, I want the bike ride and I want the cake. Let me eat the cake first. And then I'm going to go on this bike ride. And it was perfect. And so it wasn't like I was like, oh, I have to do this bike ride as a punishment for eating the cake. Yeah. No, it was a pleasure stack. I wanted both and I got to have them.
Oh, I love that. I love that story. I hope that inspires anyone who's listening too. Just, do what you love, any kind of movement, right? You want to do what you enjoy most and you're more likely to do it.
Yeah, I know I'm a glutton for punishment. I do love jump squats. I'm not going to pretend. If you see me in the wild, I am doing them at the airport. I'm doing them on the airplane. I am doing them everywhere. And I don't jump super crazy high because I am mindful. Like it's a lot of jumping. So I'm probably getting off, like I'm jumping 4 inches into the air. It's not a crazy jump. Sometimes I do higher jump squats depending, but because I'm averaging 300 jump squats a day, I don't want to blow out my knees. Something to be thinking about. Just a heads up.
You're right. I guess there's something, yeah, if you're doing that many for years and years on end, yeah,
Yeah.
you got to
Something to
be,
be mindful of. Yeah.
yeah, that's so funny.
And
Does your husband give you looks at the airport like, oh, here she goes again
no,
doing,
I mean, at this point, it is so normal. It is so normal. Like he doesn't even see it. He doesn't even bat an eye. And my son
yeah,
always jumps in. But
yeah,
then it becomes silly squats because
yeah.
it just gets really silly for him. He just thinks it's hilarious.
I love
Yeah.
that. Okay, yeah, 'cause my husband's used to it stuff too. I go out with my blood flow bands on my legs with the lights, and people are like, "What is that?" I don't
You're
even
like,
don't
listen,
anymore.
I
I don't.
am
But he
living my
when
best life over here.
yeah, when I'm like, we're walking through town, and I remember one day I realized that, oh, there are people looking at me, oh, because of my bands. And then I looked at my husband, and he's like totally unfazed. And I just give him a big hug, and I said, "You're amazing. I'm so embarrassing, and you're tolerating this without even batting an eye." So it's nice to have partners who support us on our crazy little hacks.
I don't think you're embarrassing at all. I think you're so deeply inspiring. You're showing people what is possible. And I think that's what's doing it in the, I call it doing it in the wild, but jump squats in the wild or whatever that may be. I want people to know, I want people to have permission to be like, actually, I would like to move right now after this big meal. And it's okay. That crazy woman over there is doing it. Like it's fine. So that's the reason why I want people to know and I want to normalize week movement after meals or just movement in general, because busy moms, busy working midlife moms, who a lot of us don't have time for a 15-minute walk after a meal. I would love a 15-minute walk after dinner. But if my son wants me to build Legos with him, that's the priority. And
Yeah.
so instead of 15 minutes, can I build a little Lego and then do 20 jump squats and then build a Lego and do jump, you know what I'm saying? Like I can do that. That I can get done or run upstairs real quick and pretend to be doing something else and knock out some jump squats. And so that's how I usually get it done is I usually give myself 5 minutes after meals to do some type of movement, but it's mostly inside of my house. Mostly.
Have you done a reel on that yet?
I've done a lot of jump squat. We have so many videos of me doing jump squats.
No, but with like your
everywhere.
son doing the Lego thing.
Oh, I
Like
should
that
do
would be
that.
really,
Yeah,
I mean, I don't
we
know if you're gonna put
typically
your son on a
have.
reel, but it would be funny to see you like, yeah, you doing the Lego thing and then go, hold on a second, and do my jump squats and then get back to playing. Like that just would be a funny idea. It
Yeah.
just shows the reality of it all, right?
Yeah, no, it's so true. It's so funny because like when I'm scheduling content, where I'm doing content, it's usually when he's at school, right?
Oh,
And
okay,
so
yeah.
we don't usually have the video or the phone out or the little tripod out when I'm with him because I'm trying to
Mm,
be very present with him.
yeah.
But we've debated like, ooh, like especially if we're on vacation and we're hiking somewhere or we are having smoothies together and doing jump squats together, we've definitely captured those moments, not
Yeah.
usually in the home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too cute. Okay. Oh my God. I can't believe time has run and I only
Oh my
asked
gosh.
you the first question on the list. This is crazy. Okay. Your book has the essential lab work that your doctor isn't ordering but should be. And that reminded
Yes.
me of a reel that I created that the 6 labs to get in midlife. And that was my first viral reel. And I was like, wow, people want to know what
Yes, they
these
do.
are. They're really interested in lab work, particularly around perimenopause and menopause. So can you share your top 6 or top 3?
Absolutely. So my top 6 labs, and then I'll go into the other biomarkers that I really want women to know. Because the question I ask in the book is, are you metabolically healthy? Do you know if you are metabolically healthy? And those 5 biomarkers, they're not all lab markers, but I'll just name those off really quickly as fasting glucose, right? 100
Mhm.
milligrams per deciliter here in the States, which is technically prediabetes if you hit that
Mhm.
number. Number 2 is fasting triglycerides of 150 milligrams per deciliter. Again, if you're at that benchmark, I'm concerned about insulin resistance and adiposity. Next is going to be high density lipoprotein cholesterol, so HDL. That is under 40 for women, under 50 for men. I don't ever want it to be anywhere near 40, let's be honest. And then circumference, so waist circumference, 35 inches for women, 40 inches for men. Again, I'm 5'2". I'm petite. If I had a waistline of 35 inches, I'd be very concerned.
Mhm.
So I always say waistline, at least it's got to be half your height. But again, if you're at 35 inches, that's looking at adiposity for metabolic dysfunction. And then the last biomarker that we're looking at in terms of cardiometabolic health or diagnosing metabolic syndrome is going to be your blood pressure. And that is 130 over 85. But I will say, even 120 over 70 now, we are beginning to realize, particularly for women, is potentially driving extra pressure on the vascular walls and could lead to more vascular compromise. So 130 over 85, we're definitely in the red zone. Any one of those biomarkers out of range, you're metabolically unhealthy, even if it's being managed by medication. 3 of those biomarkers out of range, you have metabolic syndrome, right? And that is a massive risk factor for cardiovascular disease, dementia, cancer, type 2 diabetes. Now, the biomarkers, when coming on to blood markers, that are important to me is one, I like that triglyceride over HDL ratio. That ratio, I want it as close to 1 as possible. If you are creeping towards 2 or higher, that is a massive risk factor for cardiovascular disease and insulin resistance. I want to be looking at a fasting insulin because that is a important biomarker. We know that you can be insulin resistant for up to 10 plus years before your fasting glucose begins to shift. Hence why it's so important to wear a continuous glucose monitor, because in real time, you can see that information. We don't have an ability to measure insulin in real time, but blood glucose can give us an indicator of what is going on. But just note that your blood glucose can still be within range while you have been insulin resistant. I don't want that fasting insulin to be above a 6. I used to say 5, but I'm giving some wiggle room here. If it is around 6 or a little bit higher than 6, it is definitely a priority for me to get that lower. Another lab that I want to look at is going to be highly sensitive CRP. I just want to see what's going on with your inflammation markers. Ideally, I don't want it above 0.5 milligrams per deciliter or even 1. If it's above a 1, it's definitely on my radar. Vitamin D levels, 95% of women that I test for vitamin D levels are deficient or on the very low side. And then let's see what else would I love. What else would I love? I'm just running the
HbA1c.
Highly sensitive, yeah. So it's definitely hemoglobin A1c, absolutely. I love to see that. But fasting insulin can give me so much data. I think of hemoglobin A1c as a reactive number. It's a composite of the last 3 months, but your A1c could be 5.1 and you could still be 7.5 insulin resistant. So I want to see. So I like to look at fasting glucose, H1C, and fasting insulin as well. I want to look at all of those 3 so I can take a look. But also what's going to show, what's your triglycerides going to tell me if you're insulin resistant, your triglyceride to HDL ratio is going to tell me if you're insulin resistant. There's a lot of things that are going to tell me that. If I can get a DEXA, I will, to look at your bone density, your visceral fat, and your lean mass. That gives me a lot of data, particularly when we're talking about hormone replacement therapy and what we're doing for your metabolic health. And then let me think. And then I want a full thyroid panel.
I was just going to see if you do your thyroids.
Yeah. And the big heavy hitters. I love uric acid. There's a lot of labs I want to be looking at, but ultimately I'm looking most importantly at your cellular energy first and foremost and seeing where you're at. I like looking at liver enzymes. Fatty liver disease is becoming one of the most serious kind of early diagnosis for cardiometabolic disease. So I want to look at those numbers as well. So yeah, that would be where I would start if I could just get my panel.
Yeah, these are good.
What would you
really good
do?
ones? So for me, I'm trying to think which ones I did in the reel, but it was definitely the cardiovascular health. It was the thyroid health and full thyroid panel.
Yeah.
And then we had the DEXA, but actually I realized the DEXA because most people know it, but I prefer the REM scan. I don't know if you've heard of REMS because it shows the bone strength and the bone quality. And you can have evidently, and I don't know what you think, this is a doctor, because it's like the new technology that not everybody knows about or is accepted. But I thought that was, again, assuming this is all accurate, it's all great. I thought, well, wow, this is a really great marker because you can have osteopenia or even osteoporosis, but actually have strong bones and not be at risk for a fracture, which was totally new to me. But yeah, that was the REM scan was for the bones. But I also recommended doing some kind of a breast screening. And
that's right. I remember.
Menopause.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and
I had a breast cancer scare last year. So I think breast screenings are very important. I think the cancer screenings, when you go to your primary doctor, especially at my age, they're looking at colon cancer, they're looking at breast cancer, and they are looking at cervical cancer. They've got their kind of what they're moving off their list. And I remember going in and I had my list. I had my biomarker list. I had my symptom list. I wanted an ultrasound of my thyroid. So they're like, okay, we need to know that you don't have colon cancer, breast cancer, or cervical cancer. And I'm like, I get that. I also need to know how metabolically healthy, where's my inflammation levels. And I also want to have kind of expand the conversation around hormone replacement therapy, just because I'm curious if they're even willing to have that conversation. But know that your doctors are going to have their list. and you always have yours. They've got to check off their boxes. You check off your boxes.
Do you have a preference for breast screening?
I would say I like thermography, not just as, again, I don't think that there's any one type of screening that is the definitive screening. For me, so mammograms and then also ultrasound and also thermography. I think it depends really on your availability. When I had my breast cancer scare, it was in the left breast and they kind of saw a cluster, and it was mammogram and ultrasound. And then it was a more diagnostic mammogram and ultrasound. But then I did a follow-up diagnostic. I ended up getting a biopsy and I was clear. I ended up going all the way into a level of invasion in terms of, but being a mom who had a 3-year-old at the time, I was like, I'm not playing. I'm not guessing. I'm not just running cancer screening labs. But now that I've had the diagnostic mammogram, I debate like how much radiation do I want every single year now that I'm kind of marked as a higher risk given, again, a benign growth. But still, so I may do thermography one year, mammogram the next year. So I may go back and forth. And if anything comes up in thermography that seems concerning, then I will follow that up with a mammogram. Again, thermography is out of pocket, whereas the mammograms are covered. So also it depends on what your coverage is and what you feel comfortable with. But in terms of screenings, I think that those are mission critical, especially after a certain age.
Yeah, well, thank goodness it was benign. I had one of those scares actually right after I delivered the baby, and I was like, oh, it must be a blocked milk duct or something. And then it's very traumatizing, especially if you have small kids. Okay. I thought I was waiting for the results. Oh my God, I'll never see my kids grow up. Like all these horror stories happen when you're waiting for that. So I know how that feels. It's it's traumatic.
Very scary.
It's scary.
Yeah, it took 6 months for me to finally get the biopsy from the first appointment.
Oh, like 6 months.
It was it was a lot of things just went wrong. Like in one, I think we were still catching up. There were so many breast cancer cases and false positives. The imaging centers were just blocked. Mm-hmm. And one of my appointments, they messed it up and it got canceled. And so it took another 2.5 months to get it rescheduled. It was just one thing after the other, but it was intense. But thank goodness, I remember waiting for that biopsy report because and depending on who you get, sometimes they can make it feel so scary. Yeah. And I think based even from given my personal experience with that and how that went, I definitely have felt the need to be more vigilant. Like I do self breast exams as well. And I followed that up with a diagnostic mammogram 6 months later, but now that was clear and everything was fine. I think I will probably do every other year just to kind of stay on top of it. And if something's coming up with thermography that I'm not loving, then I'll probably go back to annual mammograms. Because currently right now, what is recommended for me is an annual mammogram. Or you could even consider a mammogram per year and then ultrasound per year, depending on what your situation is. Everybody's case by case, but breast screening I think is definitely important. I will also note that 1 in 8 women will get breast cancer, and 1 in 2 of us will have cardiovascular disease, and 1 in 3 of us will die of mostly preventable cardiovascular disease, at least in the States. I believe it's in all developing countries. 1 in 2 women will die of mostly preventable cardiovascular disease.
Isn't it scary and strange how we are so focused on cancer and breast cancer when in fact the risk of cardiovascular disease is so much higher? And we don't seem to be paying attention. And I think it's partly to do, at least when my generation, we were growing up, we always thought of the older white man having a heart attack or something.
Men have heart attacks. Yeah. More women than men have heart attacks and stroke. Yeah. And more women than men get dismissed as their symptoms being subjective. They're sent home. We miss the diagnosis. We call it anxiety or whatever else it may be going on, and acid reflux. And we have been told to dismiss our own subjective symptoms as well. So there's a lot that we get wrong. Also, it's important to note that we don't really, for instance, here in the States, it's 126 milligrams per deciliter. Fasting glucose is diabetes. And that's really based on men. And one, it's type 2 diabetes, but also now we have marked men as that's a major risk factor for cardiovascular disease. What the research is showing is that if women get to 106 milligrams per deciliter or even 108 milligrams per deciliter, again, not type 2 diabetes yet, because we're not at the 126 range, we're definitely in the pre-diabetes range. But once you cross over that 108 milligrams per deciliter, now that is a major risk factor for heart attack and stroke. But no one's talking about that. We're not paying attention. We're just waiting and seeing until you hit that 126 milligrams per deciliter mark. Whereas now, women, that is an independent risk factor for heart disease right there. Wow. And then we're not even talking to women who in their pregnancy and postpartum have gestational diabetes or preeclampsia. These are both major risk factors for potential cardiometabolic risk later. I failed the pregnancy test. I got preeclampsia at 41 years old. I had to get induced a week later with my son because my blood pressure was climbing and my protein numbers were jumping and my plasma numbers were dropping. And so we had to deliver early. And that put me at greater risk for cardiometabolic disease down the road. So it's something that luckily I know, but a lot of women who have preeclampsia in pregnancy, no, they're not told, hey, this is actually an indicator for down the road that you need to keep an eye on your blood pressure and your lipid and cardiovascular markers.
Mm-hmm. I'm so glad you mentioned that. And I can see why your book now is so focused on metabolic health. And I still have so many questions for you, but I know I have to let you go.
I have 5 more minutes if you want. I mean, I'm just going to be late to my meeting.
Yeah, I've got like 15 more questions, but I'm going to think about maybe let me choose a question because it's so crazy. Because this book is about perimenopause, let's say. So Dr. Mariza, you wrote the book on perimenopause. So what's the one perimenopause myth you wish would die?
I love this question so much. And there's a couple different myths that I want to extinguish, but the big one that I want to extinguish is that perimenopause is no big deal, or that once you get through perimenopause, everything is going to settle out. And I want 2 things I want to do here. One, I want you to know that perimenopause is a time of vulnerability, but also it's a time of opportunity, right? As our hormones are shifting and changing, this is the most important time to listen to our body signals and symptoms and understand that your body is calling for a new level of care. But on the back end of perimenopause is a low hormone state that is called menopause. And perimenopause is a silent shift. By the time you get to early menopause, you've lost up to 20% of your bone. You have lost up to 10% of your muscle. Your lipid labs, your blood pressure, your waist circumference, your blood glucose and insulin labs, they may have moved in an unfavorable direction. And a lot of this is silent unless we are tracking this and measuring this. And so I think it is inappropriate to tell women that the chaos is over once they get into menopause and everything's going to just be fine, when physiologically so much has shifted and it's going to continue to shift into perimenopause or into menopause if we are not paying attention and we are not proactive. So I want you to know that there is so much that you can do, but just know that your body is calling for a new level of support in this transition and beyond.
So well said, and a great way to end. But we're going to have you on again so I can finish your questions. But you are absolutely right. These are the silent killers. We don't feel our bones getting brittle. We don't feel our arteries getting full of plaque. We don't feel dementia on right away. I mean, you may feel some brain fog, but this is not, that's.
I know. I will say women in peri are like, is this early dementia? Because the most common signs of perimenopause are brain related. Yeah. And I've had my moments where I'm like, what's going on with my brain? But you're right. In general, do we feel the neuroinflammation? Do we feel the decline in 20% energy metabolism in the brain? A lot of women don't notice that. Yet 67% of dementia and Alzheimer patients are women. 80% of migraine patients are women. 80% of autoimmune patients are women. More women than men are going to suffer from depression and anxiety. These are real numbers. And a lot of these numbers, they present in perimenopause and after perimenopause. Again, I will reiterate, more women than men will die of a mostly preventable heart attack or stroke. Mm-hmm. That is just the truth of it. And 20% of our lives, more than men, are spent in debilitating health. And so if you're wondering where that window of intervention is, it is right now in perimenopause. And if you're after perimenopause and you're in perimenopause and you're hearing this and you're thinking, oh my gosh, did I miss my window of intervention? No, now is the new later. There is so much that you can do starting today that will move the needle to not necessarily extending your life. I don't know if you're interested in living to 110, but at least having amazing quality years. My goal for you is to shove back as many chronic conditions as possible. And the things that we talked about today will very much do that.
And it's in the book too.
And it's in the book. Yeah, absolutely. In the Perimenopause Revolution book.
Yeah. So I will have a link to the Perimenopause Revolution in the show notes, or you go to peri-revolution.com. You can pre-order it because I think this episode will launch a couple weeks before the actual book. But if you're listening to it afterwards, just go and buy the book.
Yes, and bonuses galore. So while you're waiting 2 weeks for the book, all of the meal plans, all the extra recipes, the videos, I have a whole exercise snack video series that I've done. It's almost as if I'm doing it for you. I'm definitely doing it with you. Self-care packaging, meditations, I mean, name it. While you're waiting for the book, I'm giving you everything: lab ranges, testing, symptom trackers, menstrual cycle trackers. You're going to feel like you are ready to go. It's the Perimenopause Power Toolkit. Plus I have a masterclass just to move the needle for you as fast as humanly possible.
I love it. Yes, you give so much, Dr. Mariza. I'm absolutely so grateful to you. I have links to your website, your email, your Facebook, your Instagram, YouTube. It's all fabulous, and it's all there in the show notes as well as the book. So thank you so much for your time and going a little over time with me. And we will see you again next time.
Sorry, it was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for everybody who made it to the end of the episode as well. I really appreciate you for taking some time out of your day to listen to us.